Hi, I'm Bill Earhart of Estate and Elder Law Services, and today I'd like to talk to you about the fallacy of a simple will. Most of us, when we get married young, we start out by owning our property jointly. We own everything together. Husband and wife, they're like one team. And we cross-designate our beneficiaries as well. My wife is the beneficiary of my insurance policy. She's the beneficiary of my IRA. And my will says that when I die, she gets everything, and her will says that when she dies, she gets everything. And then when both of us are dead, then our children will get everything equally. And most of us want a estate plan very similar to that, and sometimes that's called a simple will. But there's really nothing simple about it. Indeed, there are some serious pitfalls and traps with that type of estate plan. For example, what happens when one spouse dies before the other? If property is owned jointly, if the IRAs and insurance policies make the surviving husband or wife the sole beneficiary, then everything goes into that individual's name. And what happens if the surviving husband or wife decides to get remarried, or these days not even remarried, suppose they go ahead and just get into a serious relationship and they own everything outright. Even among us older adults, even among lawyers who should know better, rarely do we sit down and negotiate a prenuptial agreement. That's just not romantic. That just gets in the way of everything. But if you don't do it, what happens? People, for whatever reason, tend to want to own property jointly. Whether they're married or whether they're just serious boyfriend, girlfriend living together, they just like to own everything jointly. So let me give you an example of something that happened in real life. I won't use the real names, we'll just call it Harry and Wendy for husband and wife. And Harry and Wendy, they get married a couple years out of high school. They have 3 kids, Alice, Bob, and Carol, and they own a house together. They both have IRAs, they both have insurance policies, and when Harry dies, everything's going to go to Wendy. And when Wendy dies, everything's going to go to Harry. And Wendy has some family heirlooms, some jewelry that's been in the family forever, and she wants Alice and Carol to get it no matter what. It's been her great-grandmother's from Ireland all the way down, so it's very precious to her, very important. So Wendy gets sick, and she passes away in her early 60s. Everything now is in Harry's name. The insurance policy paid everything directly to Harry. It's in his pocket. The bank accounts are now solely in Harry's name. Wendy's IRA is now rolled over into Harry's name. Harry has everything. And right now the kids have nothing. The kids need nothing right now, and that's probably the way it should be. Everything goes to Harry because Harry needs it. Harry's a gregarious guy. He meets new wife Nancy, and he marries her. And Nancy, she's not a bad person at all. She's a good person. But for whatever reason, Harry goes ahead and puts the house in Wendy's name. In Nancy's name. Then he goes ahead and he makes Nancy the beneficiary of his IRA, which is actually 2 IRAs now. Harry's original IRA and the IRA that Wendy left to Harry. Because, you know, he's in love with Nancy and he wants to make sure that she is cared for if he passes away. And eventually that's what happens. Harry passes away. So what happens now? The house, which is in joint names, belongs 100% to Nancy. The IRAs belong 100% to Nancy. She rolls them over into her own name. She naturally makes her children beneficiary of the IRAs. And when Nancy eventually passes away, to whom does her will give all of her property? To her children. So what happens to Wendy's children? What happened to Alice, Bob, and Carol? Under the simple will plan, they have effectively been disinherited. Everything Wendy worked hard for her entire life, her house, her IRA, her precious heirlooms, her furniture, have gone to whom? Gone to the children of a woman that she never met or that she never knew. Wendy rolls over in the grave. A trust could have prevented this from happening. A trust-based plan where Harry and Wendy put their property in trusts would have left everything to Harry in trust. Harry would have had the freedom to buy and sell new houses. He could have used the IRA if he inherited through Wendy's trust, and it would have been protected. Harry would have been free to have gotten remarried, would have gotten all the income from the trust, and when Harry passed away, the property would not have gone to Nancy or Nancy's children, but would have gone to Alice, Bob, and Carol, Wendy's children. Give me a call if you're interested about trust-based planning or preventing the disaster of a simple will at area code 302-651-0113. Thanks for listening.